Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
You guys know this song, right?
Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing? I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling great because we're going to have a terrific day. So welcome back to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, because you know what? We're open for business. This is the first time, okay, applause line. Yes! This is the first summit that we've had in person since 2018. And if you do the math, 4 years ago. While the pandemic separated us, it also brought us together to focus on new areas of legal reform. What do I mean by that? Well, for starters, under incredibly difficult circumstances, we as a legal reform community banded together and accomplished coronavirus-related liability reforms across 43 states. In fact, it's a crowning achievement, at least over the last 5 years. Beyond that, we as a legal reform community flexed our muscles, and we achieved amazing things at the state, at the federal, and at the international levels. And we did this since we last met in person. But look, it wasn't easy. We faced headwinds from our adversaries, from political polarization, from the pandemic. The list is long, I could go on and on. So today, when it comes to our level of interest, our level of enthusiasm, our level of intensity, now is not the time to be backing down. In fact, as they say at the blackjack tables at the Bellagio, it's time to double down. So as we come together in person again, we have an opportunity to refocus and to recharge, to strengthen our bonds together as a legal reform community across industries and across sectors. And frankly, we must. The threats are looming, many of which we're going to be talking about today on today's agenda. So we're going to dive into things like private rights of action. We're going to dive into things like government and regulatory overreach, the alarming international trends that are happening all across the globe, especially in Europe, the distortion of the public nuisance doctrine, and an ever-growing industry of third-party litigation funders. We're going to talk a lot about that today. But you know what? I'd rather show instead of tell. So here is a by-the-numbers look at some of our biggest challenges. Let's start with $383 million. Anybody guess what this means? Certainly not my salary. That's the amount that the trial bar has spent on advertising during the first 9 months in 2022. I'll get there. And it's roughly $30 million more than they spent in all of 2021. And yes, Robert, there's a big chunk of that with Camp Lejeune. I think I saw 5 of those ads just this morning. Next number, $39 billion. Outside financiers spent at least this amount funding litigation around the world in 2019 alone. Of that, $12 billion here in the US. Next number, 1,376. That's the number of nuclear verdicts or jury verdicts worth $10 million or more that we've seen in state and federal courts from 2010 to 2019. And these verdicts have increased in size by 27.5%. Now that's the percentage increase of the median nuclear verdict from 2010 to 2019, from a median of $19.3 million to $24.6 million. Frankly, it's mind-boggling. Next number, 38. Low number, but a scary number. This is the number of US plaintiffs' firms that we know who have expanded into Europe to shake down companies overseas. Just last week, Mark Lanier, Texas trial lawyer that I think many of us know about, announced that he's joined with 2 English barristers to create a UK-based firm to bring group legal actions against major companies with a global footprint. These numbers are just a snapshot of today's abusive litigation system. It has many victims, both direct and indirect, and it's across the US and has a global footprint as well. So speaking of victims, let me give you one last number. $2 million. That's the amount Tom Girardi, the plaintiff lawyer of Aaron Brockovich fame, allegedly stole from his clients in a bombshell discovery just this year. Today, Girardi's clients are not only suing him, and really you can't make this up, he's suing the litigation funders who bankrolled the underlying lawsuit. So should this really be surprising? After all, it is in California. But even the Golden State is saying enough is enough. Whether it's the district attorneys of Los Angeles or San Francisco that went after a plaintiff's firm that has basically weaponized the Americans with Disabilities Act against small businesses to shake them down for all types of ticky-tack violations. Whether it's Governor Gavin Newsom, who basically told the legislature no more loosening of the legal ethics rules because it's hurting consumers. This is California. And maybe this is momentum that we're seeing nationwide. I will tell you what, we will certainly have a say in that. But as I said, now is the time to be doubling down. We need to be bold. We need to be fearless. And we get to decide what the next decade of legal reform is going to look like. And some of it starts here today. Now, of course, we're not going to open up our playbook for the entire audience to see because we do have a live stream. And on that note, I would like to say to our friends in the plaintiffs' bar and in the litigation funding industry who are watching us, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We have a message for you, though. We're focused, we're organized, and you bet your ass that we're coming. So with that, I'd like to kick off the day with our first panel. If I could ask our panelists to come up, we're going to talk about private rights of action and shareholder activism. Panelists, come on up.